Welcome back to the Cart Barn Podcast. I'm Chris Limley, joined by Greg DeWalt. Thanks again for joining us this week. Before we get into anything, if you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a like and a comment, share. That would help the channel. We'd appreciate it. And if you're not and you're listening somewhere else, well, hey, check us out on YouTube as well. This week's episode is a really good episode. We've got Linda Jeffery from Prattville, Alabama. Linda is a very accomplished player and has competed in a lot of events, and really excited to get into this week's episode.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to Linda for a while now. She's become a major player on the national scene in USGA women's senior events. She kind of burst onto the scene in 2023 when she made it all the way to the semifinal match of the U.S. Senior Women's AM, and she's made it to match play the last 2 years after that. Got an interesting story. She's got involved a little bit late in the game, didn't start playing until she was 14 in high school, but progressed really rapidly once she got the golf bug. Won a national championship at Hardin-Simmons University, a small NAI school in Texas, and she's a Texas transplant, now lives in Montgomery. She's lived all over the country. She's a military person. Her husband's in the Air Force, and looking forward to talking to Linda Jeffery this week on this episode of the Cart Barn.
Welcome back to the Cart Barn Podcast. In this week's episode, we're excited to have Linda Jeffery from Prattville, Alabama, stopping by the Cart Barn. Linda, welcome to the Cart Barn Podcast.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Nice to see you again. We've talked before, and we wanted to catch up with you. You coming off another solid performance out at the U.S. Senior Women's AM, and just wanted to catch up and get your story, Linda. So welcome to the Cart Barn.
I appreciate the invitation.
We've had one of your dear friends, Kathy Hartwiger, on a previous episode, and she spoke very highly of you, and I know you guys have been competitors and friends for a long time.
Yes, I've been very blessed to know Kathy, to compete against her, learn from her, and to call her a friend.
Great. Why don't we just dive on it? I've done a previous story about you. You got into golf a little bit later than kids these days. I think you started when you were 14, but you kind of moved away from basketball and soccer and into golf out in Texas. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing and how you got into the game.
Sure. Yeah. I guess nowadays that is true. Most kids start much younger, but I'm actually glad that I didn't, to be honest with you. I played softball, soccer, basketball, and street football, all that good stuff that you just learn how to play when you're a kid in the 80s. And my aunt played golf, and she introduced me a little bit to the game. And then when I started high school, we didn't have soccer and softball, and I wasn't good enough really in basketball. And so a friend of mine was playing golf, and I decided that that's how I would start out. And I was really bad my freshman year. I remember hitting a house with a ball. There's dogs, all kinds of stuff. But by my sophomore year, I somehow managed to click it all together and started shooting in the 80s, which was, almost 40 strokes better than where I was at. And then, I was able to just kind of work through it. And so I have a softball-like swing, it seems like. I'm not sure that that's the best case scenario. I would highly recommend people to have lessons, but, I was from a working class family. I had the wiffle balls in the backyard and clubs and was hitting and teaching myself, basically.
Did you fall in love with the game right away, or did it take a while till you started playing a little better before you really caught on with your...
I think I kind of fell in love pretty early, even though I wasn't very good at the start, because you could hit that one or two shots that kind of make you go, yeah, I want to play this some more, and kept at it. But I was the kind of kid who would practice doing things anyway. When it was softball, I had the net that you threw into, and that would come back to to catch, and I had friends to play with growing up, and so golf ended up being one of those. Oh well, you can do it yourself. You don't have to necessarily have somebody else with you. So my backyard became my little place to hit and do. And like I said, I had wiffle balls, so I'm not sure how good that was, but I definitely worked at it.
Your parents didn't play golf, did they?
No, they did not at all. And but I still hear my mother's voice in my ear as she would come to some of my golf tournaments. And we even had a small junior thing during the summer where I think it was like $10 to go play a golf tournament. And I remember her always saying, just one shot at a time, one shot at a time, and she at least knew that part. And she's right. I mean, all you can do is that one shot. And sometimes when I'm, going through the gyrations in your head, it's like the only thing you need to worry about right now is this one shot.
Yeah.
So.
Were there other girls playing on your high school team, or were you kind of out there with the guys?
We did have some girls that played. Every year we had enough that we were able to make a team. So it was had several that were very competitive. Their parents played, or at least their dad, and so I had people to help motivate me and help get me better. So that's for sure.
What part of Texas did you grow up in?
I am from West Texas, in Abilene, Texas. It's a place to be from, that's for sure. I still hit it really low, especially compared to a lot of people. In fact, in the senior am that was out in Scottsdale a couple years ago, we had a really really bad Saturday weather day. It was so windy. I mean, we're talking in the 30s, gusting, and I shot probably the best 78 of my entire life because I was able to hit it so low. I wasn't as influenced by the wind. And I was like, about time that West Texas ball comes into play.
That was at Troon.
It was at Troon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That when you're playing now in Prattville, I know you play at the RTJ Capitol Hill in Prattville. Do you prefer the Senator course because it's more of a linksy style where you can flight your ball down as opposed to some of the other where it's hit it high and target golf kind of?
Well, I wish the Senator was actually a true links because I would like it more that way. But the way they designed it, they have a lot of things that are guarding the front part of the green, which in a lot of real links, you're going to have an opening, even if it's a small opening. And the Senator doesn't quite have as much. It still has some elevated greens, so you still have to have the height. You can't bounce it in there as well. And actually, I like the Legislator the best out there. I just always have, even though it's not the links style and you have to fly it in. I think it's because it's hot here in Alabama. I need the trees, and the Senator has like a whole 3 trees. But yeah.
Well, how does having access to the RTJ trail in Prattville, how would you attribute that to your play and your golf journey and the success that you've had in recent years?
Oh, I'd say it has a big influence on a few of that. When you think about how big our greens are and how much tiers we have, just learning how to deal with that. Sometimes when you go to some other golf courses, you're like, wow, this is fairly flat, or this is kind of small in some ways. And it's a world class facility when you have 3 really good golf courses here, and then again you have access throughout the state. And I've gone to pretty much, I think, most of the RTJ golf courses. And you just learn to deal with undulating lies, a lot of bunkers, and again those tiers. I mean, I would say RTJs tend to be kind of generous off the tee. They're not as penalizing as some places, is narrow. But everything else is such a complication that sometimes when I go to other golf tournaments, I'm kind of relieved because I don't have them as much.
Yeah. Well, I know coming out of high school, you went to Texas Tech for a bit and then transferred over to Hardin Simmons, where you won a national championship.
Yes. That was the first one that they had for the NAIA. Mm-hmm.
Did you get a ring, and where is that ring today?
Yeah, I do have a ring. It's in my jewelry box and I have it. And, that was something that was really unique and special. I've talked to a couple of the young ladies who play in Alabama, like state golf tournaments and such. We have a lot of good junior talent. Not all of them are going to go to Division 1, and I try to encourage them to look beyond just that because there are opportunities, whether it's NAIA or Division 2, 3 junior college. There's a lot of places that you could go and you could play and make a difference. You don't always have to just go be at a Division 1 school waiting to play. So
Yeah.
How often do you flash that ring around?
I I would tell you that I don't know that I wear it and flash it. So when I was younger, that was a little different because I remember having it when I met my husband and those kind of things. But I don't tend to wear it now. But that'd be kind of fun. Maybe I should be.
You should flash that bling around a little bit. You might give you a competitive edge.
I think she's got some better hardware now, more recent, that she can flash around.
Yeah, what's your trophy room look like?
I I have several things on my mantle out in the lounge area, and I've run out of space. So I'm not sure what we're going to do when I win some more. So
There you
that's
go. I like the way
that's the way I got to. Yeah,
positive affirmation.
yeah, got to be positive. I mean, I've determined that golfers, even if you are a pessimist, you must really be an optimist because we keep coming back, always assuming it's going to be better or you know, just those flashes, like I said before, you have a, one shot or one putt or whatever that keeps you going, yeah, I can do this, or I'm getting better, or yeah, I want that feeling again.
There's always that one shot I think around where it's as good as any player in the world on that particular swing. Whether you hit a hybrid from 180 yards to 3 feet, or you make a 40-foot putt. It's something that Tiger Woods does or whatever. But that one shot kind of just keeps you, like you say, coming back.
Yes, absolutely. But that's part of this charm of this game. I mean, you look at who's playing. You can have, young people, you can have very old people, and all throughout, it's definitely a game for the ages. And I think I'm really blessed that I was able to learn this game early enough to appreciate it.
Yeah. So many people. You hear they pick up the game in their 40s or their 30s and say, "Wow, why didn't I start this earlier?"
Hmm.
Or in their 50s. It's amazing how people take to the game.
Back to your trophy room. I know from personally, I've won some tournaments, and my favorite medal is the one I got for my son and I winning the state parent child, and then a medalist honor for a U.S. Mid Am. What's your favorite trophy? What means the most to you?
Well, it's going to kind of sound a little different, even though I'm very proud of the USGA medal I received for at the Troon golf tournament. Basically, finished tied for a third. My actual favorite medal is a second place team medal that I won with my with one partner, Shauna Snyder. We were representing the United States in the first time that golf was going to the World Military Games, and we were in Korea. And the reason I am so proud of that silver medal is we were told at the time that we didn't need to bring our military uniform or service dress because we weren't going to be on the podium. And I remember telling Shauna, and she outranked me there, but I still, I was like, we're bringing our uniforms, and we did, and I played really well that particular day, enough that we got tied with South Africa. But we ended up winning the silver and not the bronze because I had shot lower than they had as a team. My individual score was lower, and that's really the most proud I've ever been because I had won gold. I'd won as an individual. I've won as a team member. All those things, many years of those things, but that we had to persevere and go through what we did to get that. That's still the proudest one I've ever made. So
That's a great story. Yeah.
That is. What was it like playing in Korea?
well, I will be honest with you. You remember how I mentioned that RTJ is wide off the tee? That was not the case of the golf course that we were playing in Korea. It was very, very tight. In fact, normally it looked like they had the things marked as, at that time, water hazard, not penalty areas, but they moved it to out of bounds. And I was playing really well. I want to say either the first or second day. And I turned to the back nine and I get to number 10. And I ended up literally hitting three OBs. One long, one right, one left, and then just finally attempted and finally got something on. It was a par five and I made on 11. And I was so shook on that day. It was just so hard to get through because I'd never experienced anything like that where I just totally, sure, I've hit it OB once, but not three different times in different ways, you know. So it was very difficult, but it it was a great experience. We lived in what they would call the athlete village, and so we were bused to the golf course. There wasn't a range. We had to go to some other little place to hit a golf ball, then get on another death bus and get to the golf course. But it was quite an experience. Let's just put it that way.
What what kind of grass do they have on their courses over there?
Green. I really don't know anything about the grasses. I mean, honest to God, it wasn't Bermuda. I can tell you that much. I don't know if it was bent, Poe, any of that stuff. Rye, have no idea. I know what Zoysia is now because I went to Arkansas this year and got to play in some, and love apparently Zoysia. It sits up. It's beautiful. But yeah, other than the basic blend, I couldn't tell you what the grass was.
Chris, you had something?
I was going to either go with how did you end up in Alabama or talk about keeping your game sharp because it's obvious that you're able to do that. Let's go with how did you end up in Alabama?
Well, the military. My husband was on active duty. Looked like he was going to retire in 2010, and the Air Force offered him an opportunity to teach Air Command and Staff College here at Air University in Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
And if he did that, he could also then, on his third year of his assignment, go to Air War College. When that was kind of offered, there was a chance he'd make colonel. So we thought, hey, this is a pretty good deal. Let's go ahead and go to Alabama. And I was also influenced by a friend of mine on the Air Force golf team because I did not want to come to Alabama. I wanted to go home to Texas. And she kind of encouraged me to come look at the place and everything else. So I came and visited her. And actually, it was like, it seemed a lot like home in some ways. And I guess the rest is kind of history on that part. So we got stationed here in 2010. We left in 2013 and we were in Colorado, and I wanted to come back to Alabama. So it was kind of a little crazy, and ended up, I got my own position here at Air University and moved back. And eventually my husband was able to get his transfer back here too. So
Does Maxwell still have a course there?
unfortunately, they closed both golf courses. They closed what was the river course or east course probably in 2018 or so. And then unfortunately the university golf course, or the west course, it got closed, I believe, in 2022 or so. It's a shame, that's for sure. They had replaced their greens on the main golf course, the university golf course, in 2010, and in 2012 they hosted the Air Force Championship, which for us usually that's a pretty good indication. It's a good golf course.
I think you kind of got your first experience in USGA events in 2010 at qualifying for the Mid-Am.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that and how that's kind of sparked your USGA ascent.
Well, honestly, if I hadn't come to Alabama, I don't know if I'd ever would have attempted to play in a USGA event, because I met Ann Wattington, who was involved in a lot of the organization of women's golf.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept encouraging me and telling me that I had good enough game to go try. I should go try. And I was like, I had tried maybe when I was younger. I remember playing in a couple qualifiers, and they were like the pub links and those kind of things. And I was definitely not good enough at that time. Um, I guess I just decided, okay, I'll give it a whirl. I went over to Savannah, Georgia to do a qualification and ended up qualifying. And I shocked myself at that point because I've been good, decent, played a lot of different golf tournaments, even state stuff here and there, but I had not, I didn't play anything in the state, I don't believe, in 2010. And anyway, I got my first taste at the 2010 USGA Mid-Am that was in Wichita, Kansas. I had a friend of mine from Oregon come in to caddy for me because I didn't know what to expect. And I was really happy to have somebody that I knew as a friend on the bag and had such a great experience. So I was really happy Cheryl came and kept me calm a little bit. I made the cut and ended up, playing in my first match play. I wasn't even sure what to expect. So I learned a lot, that's for sure. And I learned that wow, I was able to compete. I could do this, and that there was an opportunity for me. And then I've been spending money ever since, trying to chase that.
We'll talk about how you go from not having the belief that you can do it, and then you do it, and how that changed your belief and your confidence. It had to give you just a tremendous amount of confidence when you went to your next tournament.
Yes, I would say so. But I'd played. I've been lucky enough to live across this country, and I've played in a lot of different state tournaments, and so I believe there. But I guess I always assumed with the USGA it was just a little bit, as a step above. Um, and being able to realize that no, I could compete in that did help translate into understanding that I could go anywhere in the country and probably be competitive. I didn't say I would win those kind of things, but I knew I could do it. Um, I was lucky when I lived in Oregon. Actually, I played in this tournament of champions, and I ended up winning that. And they were like, "Who are you?" type stuff, and I didn't realize who I was playing against. And I was like, "Well, it's not like I've never played golf before. I played, college golf. I played some other things." That was a concept that was a little bit new to me as well. It's like, oh, these people didn't, realize that you could just be somebody else from outside the area and come up and play. I just think that if I hadn't been able to be exposed to some of these people and understand that we all struggle through golf, but we all try to get better, that I don't know if I would have um, kept playing at this level. I'd played, like I said, in some state stuff. I played military golf tournaments and those, but the USGA was like this holy grail to me. And I think because I was younger when I played in some of the stuff, and I was just playing in um, being in the mid-am section, you're with a lot of other people who are working, people who have family. Not everything was about just golf. When you were younger, there was people who that's all they did was play golf, where it seemed like that. you know.
I think I think there's a lot of young people. That's all they do is play golf.
Yeah.
Let's flash back to 2023 when you really made a splash at the U.S. Senior Women's Am. I think that was at Troon, correct?
It was.
And just that whole week was kind of a magical week for you. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, one, I do like the desert golf in itself. Just whenever I go play those kind of golf courses, it definitely appeals to me a little bit more than, say, hilly and tree lined. Um, I would say that I showed up there. It was right after I had just competed in our Air Force and then Armed Forces tournament in San Diego. So I thought maybe I'd be a little bit tired, to be honest with you, because we had just competed for 2 weeks. But I think it actually helped me a ton because mentally I was already in the playing competitive golf. I played really hard greens, and I showed up and on Wednesday was just hitting balls because that's all you could do on that day, and literally I was hitting it really well, and I felt very confident in that weird kind of way that sometimes happens. It's like I could win this thing. And, I never always think that way. I couldn't say that those are thoughts that pop into my head, but I just felt very good on that. Had nice practice rounds and I was playing decent. Again, I told you briefly, Saturday was a very windy day. Awful, actually. And that helped drive up a lot of scores, but I was out there, I had to have my hat backwards. I know I was in the desert, pictured one of the USGA photographers catches me. I am, I got a cactus here and behind me to the side of me as I'm trying to play out of it. Um, and a friend of mine from the Air Force, actually, from previous times that we'd known each other, she'd come up to me. She was just watching the seniors play, and she's like, noticed I didn't have a caddy with me because in the senior you could ride, and at that point I was like, I'll just throw my golf clubs on the cart and just ride along. And she offered to caddy for me, and I took her up on it, and I kind of glad I did because I'm not sure if I had gotten as far as I did without Colleen helping, to read the greens, keep me calm, and just in all reality, just having somebody there really helps. And she's been kind enough to come to the last two seniors since then. She's trying to compete herself and make the tournament, and I wish her all the best, but I am very selfish and happy when she's with me, for certain.
Absolutely. Um, Going through that, you played your good friend Kathy in that event. Was that a little bit odd? You know, being close friends.
Well, no, not in all reality. It just depends on the luck of the draw of where you feed into the seed system, obviously. And I I look back and I'm like pretty impressed with the gauntlet I was having, to be honest with you. But yeah, getting Kathy in that situation, that was definitely tough for me because um, competing all these years in Alabama against her, she's just steady. She doesn't, the whole you did you beat them or did you beat yourself kind of mentality. And a lot of times Kathy was able to just keep not beating herself, just waiting for you to beat yourself. Because she didn't have to birdie, she could just par you to death sometimes in match play because we all make mistakes, right? And she tended to make her mistakes a little bit smaller or maybe put it in the front part of the green where it's easy up and down versus going left or right into some kind of trouble. And watching her all those years, I knew how tough it was going to be to beat her. And I was, you know, um, definitely nervous playing. I had told Colleen that basically I've never beaten her in match play, and she's like, "Well, this is going to be the time." And she kept giving me the uh, the positive affirmation I needed. I remember I this one par five on the front side. I did terribly. I remember. Well, I shouldn't say terribly. I drove it terribly off the tee. Kind of put myself in trouble. Made a good couple shots up into the green, and I had a chance. I made this fantastic chip, and it was either for par or birdie. I don't remember exactly the count, but I know I needed to make that putt, and I did, and it put the pressure on. And she didn't win that hole, and that was a key for me to realize that I'm not out of it. I can do this, and it kind of shifted my mentality a little bit of that you kind of need sometimes. It's tough match play. I would tell you that I don't really actually like match play. Um, some people are really good at it, and I tend to, you're playing against yourself, you're playing against a golf course, and then you throw in an opponent that you're having to pay attention to, and I don't particularly care for that. Paying attention to my opponent, wouldn't say that that's my strong suit. I'd much rather just be in my own little bubble and just exist in my own little world. than having to go, oh, okay, you know.
I was going to ask about when these USG events, the qualifying 36 hole qualifier or 18 hole, it's a different style because you're trying to not make a big number, and
Mm-hmm.
then you shift to match play where you can make an 11 on a hole and it's just one hole. How
Yeah,
do you go from the mentality from stroke play into the match play?
that's a good point. Again, I'm not sure that I'm the one who can give you any pointers on that because I struggle a little bit with that. I like stroke play, you know, everything counts and you're just trying not to hit those big numbers. Match play, again, I think the challenge always is you still don't want to have a big number in my mind. I mean, you can win holes with pars and bogeys. I mean, you don't have to always make a birdie. It's beautiful when you do. Um, you know, it's a little different that just keeping it in play or be really good at recovery. That's, you know, that's really the bottom line because I think you can get suckered in sometimes. Like somebody, oh, they hit a crappy job. I mean, I'll tell you, this happened this past senior. I end up playing friends of mine, you know, twice, um, and that's always tough. But I hit a horrible approach shot that buried into the lip. I mean, it's a fried egg, and my opponent is my friend, and she puts it nice, you know, maybe 15 feet from the pin. And her husband later told me afterwards that, yeah, he was like, oh, yeah, he was counting that hole already. And I managed to get out of the bunker and I made a fantastic, like, you know, 40-footer down the hill afterwards and made it for par and put the pressure on her, you know. And so you just never know. Match play is a funny, you know, funny game.
Speaking of this year's U.S. Senior, you made it to the semifinals.
Mm, no. Well, I don't know. It made it to the round of 16. I guess maybe
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, 16. So,
Yeah.
and you had a pretty good lead going in to advance to
Oh,
the next round. What
I
happened?
did.
Yeah.
Well, I did. I had I at one time was 4 up on my friend Crystal, and she is another one that I play a lot of golf with. In fact, friends of ours have gathered a couple times this year, and her included, and we play this little round robin in match play, which I have not beaten her in, and I obviously still haven't at this point. um, she's a very very strong player, strong hitter. She can hit it probably in the 250, maybe even more. I don't know numbers per se, but I know when I look at where she's at and where I'm at, it's quite a big difference sometimes. She can also get a little wild here and there, and thankfully she was giving me those first few holes. She had suffered a little bit, and all I had to do was keep plodding away. I couldn't putt worth a save my life that particular day. Even in the morning match, I was lucky that my opponent just did not play as well. um, I'm not sure what exactly was going on, but unfortunately, that was part of it. If you can't make the putts, it's very difficult to win matches. And I knew that I needed to get as far up as I could because starting about number 9, it kind of favored the big hitters going through because of the par fives and a few of the par fours. And then our finish was a par three, par five, par five, par three. And I did not adjust to the firming up of the greens, to be honest with you. As that low ball hitter, I needed to really be able to run up some things. And several times I hit really good balls and they hit the green and they just kept bouncing over. And the rough that was there was thick enough that it was difficult to, from behind the green to get there. Um, you know, so I ended up hurting myself on several things. I would say that I probably hit the ball the best I've hit all tournaments. I was hitting it very, very nicely, sometimes too nicely. So yeah, I knew going in, I was like, oh boy. And then I hadn't played the par three, the par fives in the back that particular day because my other match had finished so early, and that probably hurt me as well. I didn't have any idea what I was going to be hitting in, and flew in starting on 15. I flew the beautiful shot with like a nice little 6 hybrid, and it hit and it didn't stay and ended up into a bunker I didn't even know was behind there. Hit a nice shot out, I had a nice 5-footer to save par, which I didn't make, and that kind of changed everything from there because I just did not get it done. And then, we just, as we joked, we kind of had a pillow fight, whacking each other, and couldn't get it done. So, and I had a putt to win on our 19th hole, and again didn't make it. And then the 20th hole, I ended up hitting the one shot that you couldn't do, which was I went over the green, and it was a bad either calculation, adrenaline, I'm not sure, but something I will learn from. Hopefully, now that I've done it twice.
Yeah.
So how much competitive golf do you play during the year? How many tournaments are you playing, and who do you play with out at Prattville?
Mm. So I'd say that this year I've played quite a bit of competitive golf. Starting in May, I went to a brand new golf tournament that was in Kentucky that a friend was putting together. It's the Bluegrass Senior, and she had quite a quite a lot of top players throughout the country come and attempt there. And I finished eighth, and I was pretty happy considering who I was playing with. With a person who won it was Ellen Port, who's won, I don't know, probably 9 USGA titles. So I feel pretty good about the company I'm keeping on that. And then I played our state stuff that we have here in Alabama. We have a stroke play, we have a match play, and we have 4-ball. And then again, we have a couple national tournaments as well. And I tried to qualify for the Women's Senior Open and lost in a playoff for that. And that was out in San Diego. That was going towards San Diego, I should say. I went to Colorado to compete. I've been just, probably, there's probably about 6 or 7 tournaments I play a year, trying to stay a little bit competitive. It's different than playing your regular game. It's just the mentality, the pressure, the what you're thinking about. Because when I play out in Prattville here at Capitol Hill, I play with some retired guys that and they've been nice enough to let me play alongside them. And we play pretty fast game. We're walking and playing in 3.5 hours in the mornings, and just going. And we don't even have any bets or anything going on. So I'm not sure that that's helping me sometimes. Just getting up there and going, whacking it, go find it. I like playing fast golf. It's tough when you have to be out there 5+ hours. A lot of that's just ridiculous amount of time, I think, to play the game. But you got to figure people are trying to either find their ball or grind over a putt, and so I understand that can be troublesome. But
So I'm curious why you went to Colorado for the qualifier.
well, honestly, I was looking at it as more of, I have friends who are in Colorado Springs, and I thought that it would be a good break from the heat, because I looked at the ones that are here in the southeast, and July is so hot. August is so hot. So any excuse to go where it's a little cooler, I'm gonna try. So I did, and that was another great golf course. I mean, boy, fantastic the way it was set up and everything, and got to enjoy firm fairways, which always helps me out as a ball rolls.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I've always said that Montgomery's the hottest place in the state. So
It feels like it sometimes, that's for sure.
What have you got the rest of this year, if anything?
Honestly, I have one more tournament and then that's it, and I get to go into a nice off season. Hopefully, I'm playing in the Veterans Golf Association National Championship, and that's going to be in Chicago at Olympia Fields next week.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be a little cooler up there for sure.
It was nice to visit Virginia this year. I had not been up that way in the mountains, and it was a nice fall weather. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first USGA event was there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Logistically, it was a very difficult golf course to enjoy, to get to. the way that they had it set up. I mean, we hit golf balls there at the Omni Homestead Hotel range for the old course, and then we had to get on a bus and go to the Cascades, which was 12 to 15 minutes depending on
Mm-hmm.
the situation. And so, and then you're just a little out of sorts. Logistically, everybody had to deal with it, so you knew that you just had to accept certain things and get on with it. But you have to adjust how you would normally go for a golf tournament. You know, everybody has their ways. I always usually like to roll some putts and then go do my warm up and chip, and then I come back and I usually like to putt again. Well, you can't do that there.
No.
You had to just accept it for what it was.
Yeah.
How do you think? What's the state of women's golf in Alabama right now? Is it in a good place? Should it be better, or what are your feelings on that?
Well, I'm not playing with the young kids anymore. Thankfully, when I got to that 50 years of age, I got to graduate into back to my peers. But I would tell you that looking at it, we still have a lot of youth that are coming in and playing, which I'm thankful for. I hope that we continue to expose young girls to this great game and that they have a place to play. Um, I worry. Obviously, I did even in my 30s and my 40s, I would play in the tournaments against these kids because I wanted to make sure that I was contributing where I could, you know, and being a participant and playing and making sure that there was still going to be a golf tournament 10 years from now is what I thought was part of my job. Because it's not like I was competing and winning against these kids. I wasn't, wasn't doing that. But, on our senior side, we still have quite a lot of people playing, and that's good. But, we have a small population compared to some of the bigger places next door when we play against Georgia or Florida. We just don't have the numbers. So I would tell you that we have some great women players in the state who can compete into wherever they choose to. Sometimes they don't choose to play in the state events. Um, you're paying to play, and um, there's no like club pro shop credit, those kind of things. And I think sometimes that they're more into places where if you're going to pay to play, it's an invitational and that you could win something more than just a trophy. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned you've got one more event and then you get into the off season. What does that consist of for you?
well, this year, what I really hope for is a little bit of time to just go back to the fundamentals. And I don't like to work during the actual what I consider my competitive season. I don't like to work as hard on if I'm trying to change something or adjust. You know, it's not like I'm a pro athlete out here, but I definitely think the off season, working on the different aspects that I feel like kind of hurt me or I noticed that I needed to improve a little bit on. Everybody has an opportunity to do that. And for me, it's really kind of the fall because in January I like to go to Hawaii and get refreshed and play golf and do things like that. And then I come back in February, it's like okay, then I will focus on preparing for the summer and different elements of what I'm going to need. So it just kind of boils down to if there's anything I got to work on specifically or overhaul, I'd much rather do it in the off season. I really hate to think about golf swing or certain techniques while I'm playing. I know that some people continue taking lessons. They're doing all kinds of stuff. They're always trying to, fine tune. For me, my best golf is not thinking about what I'm doing except for, what's my yardage, what's the shot I'm trying to play and doing it. I'm much more of a field player, I think. So.
What about
I'm sorry, Chris. Do you work with a teacher or?
Yes, I have Jeremy Gilbert, who is in charge of the instruction here at the Capitol Hill. I would tell you that he doesn't see me that often. I see him all the time, but he doesn't see me as a student that often.
well, I was just going to ask about away from just golf swing mechanics and working on those things, how much physical work do you put in, especially in the off season?
Oh, definitely try to put in a lot of just the timing as far as physical fitness and those kind of stuff. I mean, the off season for me is a good time to enjoy getting a little bit better in shape. Again, when I think about how hot it is in Alabama during the summer, I struggle sometimes with the heat itself, and so trying to be in better shape per se just helps your body take those taxing loads. Because I've suffered a couple times with the heat, even this year in the 4-ball tournament I was playing with my partner Leah Green. That second day, I could feel that heat problems because I've had it before, and I was like, tag, you're it for the first little bit. And I was able to eventually get myself cooled off enough to to think and be able to play. But the first couple holes, I was shaky and not well. And she was like, "What in the world do I have to do for you?"
Yeah. Where was that tournament this year?
The Highland Park
Okay.
area in Birmingham,
Yeah.
which is a cute little golf
It's
course. I mean, and
fun.
I say little, little. They played us fine, but it was that had bent greens, which are beautiful. I mean, even at a public golf course that was getting beat up. I mean, I love bent greens so much. I wish I
It's a
lived where
fun
I had
golf
been.
course. It's a fun
Yeah,
golf course.
it is, and we played it well. It was definitely a lot of fun. And of course, it's always fun when you have a partner. You just don't, you're not, a woman alone on an island.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
always a happier.
Yeah. So how long do you see yourself, being competitive on the senior level?
Well, that's another reason I'm going to go and try to work out and do things to keep being at it. I think there's a small window, unfortunately, of when you're really kind of competitive because I look at who's in their 40s now, and they're going to be coming, and they hit the ball usually longer. Um, and that's fine as long as you can still compete. It's when the tournaments keep getting harder and in order. I'm not sure when they decide to change. Like I just played in a senior event that said on the card it was like 57, 58, 100 yards. And that's fine. That seems like a very nice, beautiful yardage until you start playing it and it plays longer or it's guarded or whatever. I think it was only rated 74.5 and 136 slope, but it felt a lot harder than that. And so I wonder how long I will be able to, because I am not the longest at all. I would say that I'm very average or even short hitter in some ways. Um, so we'll see. Unfortunately, this last year I would tell you that I even lost a club into a green. Basically, well, I would normally hit a 9-iron, and now is an 8-iron, and that will hurt you. You got to be able to keep your club head speed up and in order to compete, really.
Yeah. Why don't real quickly? Why don't you take us through your bag and your stock yardages?
Oh, well, that would be sad at this particular point.
That won't be sad.
Oh, so like I have a 60-degree wedge, but I don't like to ever hit that full. So the most I'm going to hit that is a 50-yard little half swing. I don't know. I don't like to hit that one full. It just rides up on the club face for me. Um, then a 56-degree wedge that gets wore out because I play with that one all the time, and I can hit that thing a multitude of yardage. But my favorite probably is about 70 with it. It's a nice little 3/4 swing. I don't like to again hit it full, but I can, and that would be about 80. I have a 50-degree wedge that is usually my 80 to 90 yard um, gap there, and then from 90 to 100 is my pitching wedge. And right now, that the gap from the 100 to 110, I'm not sure what to hit. Sometimes I'm hitting a soft nine, or sometimes I'm hitting a hard wedge trying to get it there, and that doesn't always work out. Because my 9-irons, my 110 to 120, and then the 8 fills in the 120 to 130, 7 the 130 to 140. After 140, it gets curiously dangerous for me, and I'm actually trying to figure out what to do, because it should be a 6 iron, but my 6 iron and I are not friends at this particular point. So that's a really crucial yardage that I've had a lot lately. 140 to 150, and I'm just not getting it done. So I picked up a hybrid actually in Houston that, according to the little computer, was that club. So we'll see if that ends up solving that problem. And then I have a 6 hybrid that I use for a lot of those 150 to 160. And then I have a 3 hybrid that's anything above the about 165, 170. After that, it gets a little sketchy. I have right now I have a 4 wood that fills in the too long for a hybrid. And then my driver, I would say that it probably only flies 185, 190, and then I get some roll out of it. And so I usually say it's about 200 or so. So, yeah.
What clubs do you play?
Currently I have the Exios for the irons and my hybrid, and I actually have an older driver. I have a brand new driver in the garage that I just didn't like as well, but it's my old is a Ping driver from like 2012, it's like a G15, and my wedges are Cleveland.
And
So.
your putter?
Well, currently I have a Cleveland in the bag, and it's been in there for a while. It looks like a spider, to be honest with you, because I looked at those and I'm like, man, these look really, really nice. And I go back and I look at the Cleveland I have, and it's like, that's because it looks like this. And I have those thanks to the Veterans Golf Association. They have discounts with Strixon and Cleveland and those things, and ended up getting fit with them. So.
Do you change putters very often?
I bring an extra putter to every golf tournament at this particular point. I forgot to do it in May, and I regretted that, because I like to have an extra one just in case, the greens are slow, bumpy, or they're fast or whatever. I like to have a designated hitter on the bullpen, basically, just waiting to go.
So you threaten the current putter by bringing that.
I just wanted them to know that they can be replaced. Yes.
Great. Chris, have you got anything?
No, Linda, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and it's been wonderful getting to meet you and getting to hear some of your stories. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
It's been a treat to catch up with you. Continued success with everything.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks.
I want to thank Linda Jeffery for joining us on this week's episode of the Cart Barn. Very good player, very good person. Enjoyed hearing her stories, and especially the one about making an 11 in Korea. That was one of my favorites. How they bounced back from that to finish second in a team event in Korea. So, thanks again, Linda, for joining us. But thanks for joining us on this week's Cart Barn.
Thanks again for joining us this week. We appreciate it. And catch us again next week for another edition of the Cart Barn Podcast.